Is USCIS still waiving green card interviews? Several months ago, I posted a video talking about how USCIS is waiving many green card videos, and many of you were excited about this news. It also sounded like many of you had your own green card interviews waived and were the successful owners of a green card without having to go through that additional step. But I also got a lot of comments from people asking about how long would that process take and which type of case that this applies to. So in this video, I'll go ahead and talk about the current status of USCIS waiving green card interviews, what to expect, and how long you might still have to wait for your application. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 13 years. If you would like my help on your case, call our office at 212-248-7907. We are based in New York, but we work with immigration clients all over the United States. Okay, so what is the current status of interview waivers at USCIS? For those of you who did not see my previous video about how green card interviews are getting waived, let me give you a little run through. In its effort to minimize the backlog and catch up with all those cases that are waiting for a decision for years on end, USCIS has been broadening its discretion to waive interviews for first-time green card applicants. One of the ways that you may find out that your interview is going to get waived is if you get that request for a medical exam in the mail for your I-485 application. In 99% of the cases that I have seen, when a person gets issued a request for evidence for just the I-693 medical examination or for various other minor documents such as an I-864W exemption of the affidavit of support, this is usually a sign that all USCIS is doing is filling out a couple of little check boxes so that they can go ahead and approve your case and get you issued your permanent resident card. But if by now your immigration application is still pending and still waiting for a decision and you have not yet received this medical exam request for evidence, will your interview be waived? The first thing that I can share with you is that USCIS is still waiving the majority of green card interviews, especially for family-based cases, including I-130 petitions filed by spouses of U.S. citizens or spouses of green card holders, and for parents and children of U.S. citizens as well. So if you are waiting on a one-step I-130/I-485 application, it is still pretty highly likely that you are going to be waived for your initial interview. Now, there are always exceptions to this rule because there is no guarantee that you're not going to have your interview. And in fact, if you have certain complex issues in your case, such as criminal histories or prior removal proceedings in court, or you are in removal proceedings right now, then it's probably pretty likely that you will still be called for an interview by the immigration officer. And how about if you are waiting outside the US and you're waiting for your interview at your US consulate in your country? Will your interview there be waived? Now, the answer to this is probably not something that you'll like, because there have been certain non-immigrant visas who have been receiving waivers of their interviews, and this may include student visa applicants as well as visit visa applicants who previously already had a visa approved. But if you are applying for an immigrant visa to come here as the relative of a U.S. citizen or as the relative of a green card holder, the chances are unlikely that you will have your interview waived, because that is still a part of the very formal process of consular officers issuing visas to persons to enter the United States. So, what kind of applications are still having their interviews waived? Well, in my experience, what we have been seeing in our office is that persons applying for green cards based off of marriage or through a family relationship or through VAWA are still consistently seeing their interviews be waived, with certain exceptions. And the time frame that it is taking for all of us, well, That also still kind of depends on which local field office your case is assigned to, because even if the interviews are being waived, there are still certain field offices that are still busier than others. And even if they waive those interviews, they still have to do that paper and administrative work of getting through file after file and application after application. So what I could say is that the longest that I'm seeing for some cases is still hovering right around a year, and the quickest that I'm seeing for other cases is somewhere between 6 months to 10 months. Again, depending on your local field office. And also, please remember that USCIS is not just sending medical exam requests for evidence by mail, they're also still sending them by email. And what I can also report to you right now is that some of the requests for evidence for the medical exam that we're seeing come through email actually don't technically have a due date on them. And you have to read everything very closely to see if there is a deadline, because if you miss your deadline, then your case would get denied. So make sure that whether you get your request for the medical exam by post mail or by email, you read everything really closely to make sure you get down all the information and the dates by which you need to provide immigration their information. Also keep in mind, USCIS will never ask you to send money through a wire transfer or through PayPal or through Venmo or through Cash App. The only way that USCIS takes payment is by check, money order, certified check, or by credit card made payable to the Department of Homeland Security. So if you are still waiting for a decision on your immigration case, rest assured that you will hopefully see some movement and some activity soon. Always check the processing timelines on the USCIS page and make sure you have everything ready in terms of documentation in case you do get called for your interview. If you want my help navigating your immigration case, give us a call at 212-248-7907. I will continue to make videos sharing my knowledge. And if you have enjoyed this so far, give me a follow and make sure you follow me on all of my other platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. My name is Moumita Rahman. I'll see you next time.